Hey everyone, Ben from Video Lab here, and I'm going to give you a behind the scenes look at our latest video, Stepping Up Your Studio Photography with Sacha Stejko. Okay, so I'll run you through the gear we used first off. Just like all the other Stepping Up Your Photography videos, we used my Canon C200 as the A camera. This captured all the main talking to camera pieces. It was our A cam, and I actually rigged it up slightly differently to the other videos. In the previous Stepping Up Your Photography videos, I had it configured in a shoulder rig. I actually chose to go more handheld this time, mainly because Sacha's a little bit shorter than I am, and I wanted the point of view to be slightly looking up at her to give her a sense of authority and strength rather than looking down on her. Anyone who's done any kind of film theory knows all about that kind of psychology. Other gear in terms of the A camera lens was a 35mm Canon L lens, 1.4 I think, 1.2, 1.4, don't know. It's not my lens, I was borrowing it from Canon. And on it we had a Tiffin Pro Mist 1/4 filter. So that gives you kind of a bloomed out highlight look, a bit more of a vintage feel, a bit more of a kind of indie hipster kind of feel. I really like it. I basically keep the Tiffin Pro Mist filter on my lenses most of the time now. It's especially good for like wedding work, anything slightly stylized. I might not use it for things like super corporate work, but for most of my stuff, the Tiffin Pro Mist filter feels right. Okay, in terms of the other cameras, we were actually lucky enough to get our hands on an R5 body to use in the production of this. So our B cam was an R5. We had that with a 24-70 lens on a Ronin S gimbal. And so my second shooter, Guy Hasler, he's epic. Go check him out on Instagram. He was basically my second shooter for the day, so he controlled the R5 on the gimbal for most of the time, either gimbal or handheld. That got loads of the slow-mo stuff, so we used mostly 4K 50, and then a little bit of 4K 100p on that camera. Other cameras for the shoot, we used a couple of EOS Rs for some time-lapse stuff and some extra angles. Oh, and then Guy was using his 5D Mark IV to capture all the behind-the-scenes stills. So I think in total we had, like 5 cameras going? So C200, R5, 2 Rs, and a 5D. And that was our cameras for the shoot. Audio, exact same setup basically as all the other Stepping Up videos we've done. Basically it was my Sennheiser G3 radio mics that we mic'd up Sacha with, that ran straight into the C200. I mean, there was no syncing issues. I didn't have to like do any post-processing syncing. It just ran straight into the camera. And that worked out great. I had the shotgun mic on top of the camera as well, just to back up, I think. Did I? I can't remember. Have a look at the footage and see if I had a shotgun mic on top of the camera. I guess the main thing that was different with this shoot was the lighting. So because we were inside with a studio shoot, I didn't want to just rely on the ambient lighting, so I brought my own lights. I used my Godox, I think SL200, that's what's currently lighting me here. I think you can probably see it in the corner of the frame, maybe. Yeah, so that we used my Godox SL200. Guy brought his SL150. They're basically the same light. They're a really cool continuous LED light, and they use similar photography modifiers. So they actually use a Bowen's mount, which is from the world of photography flash modifiers. And we both Guy and I had sort of parabolic diffusers with some diffusion mesh on them. I'm using all the wrong terminology. For anyone who knows, I appreciate that I'm using all the wrong terminology, but you get the idea. And basically my thought process around the lighting was I was actually okay having the lights in the shot. We've got Sacha in the studio talking about studio lights. There are, lights and light stands and stuff everywhere. I was okay with my video lights being in a shot. It kind of added to the studio kind of vibe. In terms of the effect my lights had on Sacha's photography, nothing. The flash output from those bronze color flashes was astronomically higher than what our little LEDs were pumping out, so it didn't affect Sacha's images at all, which was really nice. And yeah, so basically just the lighting, bringing studio lighting to that kind of environment allowed me to just highlight Sacha, pick her out from the background, you know, when the studio's nice and dark and you've got the really warm tungsten modeling lights on Sacha's studio flashes. It gives a really nice separation so that we can see Sacha all beautifully lit with a nice sort of moody studio behind her, and we're not losing Sacha in just this little muddy, dark environment. So rather than just like cranking the ISO up to compensate for a dark studio, it looks much better to actually light it all properly. So we actually highlight her as the subject that we want to focus on. Something I wanted to mention with in this video was the idea of roles. So I mentioned with the other stepping up videos that we've basically had a two-person team for filming all of them. It's always myself as kind of like lead shooter, and I've got a second shooter to kind of help me. And I wanted to talk about the roles of that really quick because it's really important for these kinds of shoots. If you're wanting to do similar kind of production, to keep things lightweight and with the low crew numbers, you need to be really on top of what each person's role is and what they need to do. So for example, as lead shooter, my job was to record our main subject, Sacha, talking to camera, be in charge of all her audio, making sure I'm capturing all of the educational content that Sacha's putting out. So I'm asking her questions, prompting her. I had some questions prepared ahead of time on my phone, just in notes, and then was just like asking extra questions on the fly, just getting her to speak her mind as she's figuring things out, like lighting and directing the model and things like that. And then, so I'm covering, that's sort of my job basically. And then my second shooter, Guy, his job was to get all of the B-roll or the cutaway shots. So he's getting things like close-ups on light stands getting moved up and down. He's getting shots of Gemma, you know, dancing. He's getting all those details that help tie the whole video together and tell a complete story. So when Sacha's talking about XYZ, I know that Guy has got footage of X, Y, and Z, so I can cut to it in the edit. And that's just knowing those roles is really important, just so that a lot of what's happening on set is happening on the fly. We're just kind of capturing it as it happens. And if Sacha's animatedly directing Gemma to be like, you know, like jump higher, this is fantastic. Like I know to whip around and film Sacha, and Guy knows to whip around and film Gemma doing the thing that Sacha's directing. And that way in post, we can take all those various angles and piece them together. Now, if you weren't on top of your roles as shooters, both Guy and I might turn our cameras straight at Sacha and film her, or turn both our cameras straight at Gemma and film her, and then we haven't got enough coverage to make that story, to convey that story to the audience. So it's really important in these kinds of environments where you're just capturing stuff on the fly, that you and the people you're working with know exactly what they are there to capture. Guy's other role was also in the behind the scenes content, so he was getting all the BTS photos and video. So Guy had a lot to do, but he killed it. So yeah, basically that's just, I wanted to sort of get that across, the idea of how you achieve videos like this one with a really small crew is being really specific on who does what. Last thing I wanted to talk about today was the music choice. A little bit different from our other two videos. Both the video we did with Jeremy on surf photography and couples photography with Bailey and Moore use quite chill hop basically, and I think I used most of the same artist called Red Licorice. I wanted to go with something slightly different here with Sacha because Sacha's got such a cool energy. She's kind of a goofball, she's fun. I wanted to make her video a lot more energetic. I wanted to use, you know, like electronic music. I wanted to use hip hop. I wanted the music to be less of a squishy, soft bed for the footage to lay on top of, and more of emotional kind of direction for the course of the video. Where I find my music is on a website called MusicBed. It's a fantastic resource. It's my favorite site for finding music. There are other sites like Artlist and Premium Beat, maybe. Epidemic Sound. There's a few out there, but MusicBed is by far my favorite. It's probably the most expensive, but it's definitely the best in terms of quality. There's fantastic music on there. I use it for all my wedding films, everything like that. So yeah, if you're interested in where I found the music and stuff, MusicBed. Some of my go-to playlists on MusicBed is things like, what's new. They have a playlist dedicated to all the new music that's continuously being added to the catalog, which is fantastic. So I'm always hunting around in there to see if there's any new gems. And then there's things like Swag Pop is always good. It's always a good playlist to find some like energetic, fun music. What else? Oh, there's a chill beats playlist, which is where I find most of the music for like Bailey and Moore's video and Jeremy's video. That kind of like chill hop, quite YouTubey vibe music. Yeah, basically, MusicBed's great for finding like just really high quality music for videos. So if anyone was interested in the music in Sacha's video, because it plays quite a key role in carrying us along through the various sections, that's where you can go to find it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it interesting. And if you would like to know anything else that I didn't cover on the production of this video, anything around editing or anything like that, drop a comment below and I'll do my best to answer it, either in the comments or in the next video. Behind the scenes, we've got more stepping up videos on the way. So yeah, other than that, see you guys next time. And if you haven't found the Canon Conversations podcast, find that on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts. You can listen to my silly voice interview amazing New Zealand photographers every single week. It's a weekly podcast, and so if you're interested in photography, make sure you go and subscribe to that. Other than that, see you guys next time.